Action Figure Review.
Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of The Collector Side. I am your humble host, The Collector, and I am bringing you another awesome action figure review today. And that figure is the Mezco Toyz Homecoming Spider-Man. I am so excited that this finally came. Normally I do an unboxing video first, then I do the figure review, but I kind of just opened it and I just went nuts on it. I've been waiting for this figure for a long time. Obviously, if you guys are familiar with this particular release, it went up for pre-order back in 2017 for release in October of 2018. So it's been a while, long time coming. And sorry, the camera's fuzzing, but it's been a long time coming. So I'm very excited to have this figure and finally add it to my collection. And just so you guys can see up there, so I got my little shelf with my Mezco collection up there. So it's a work in progress. We're rearranging a couple things down here. So I'm going to be getting some bigger shelves, longer shelves, and I'm going to be kind of resetting the display a little bit. I'm adding an inch to the shelf depth because adding 1 inch will make it so that I can comfortably fit two bases, one in front of the other on the shelf. So I'm going to be doing that in the next couple weeks. But anyway, back to the figure. Oh yeah, very important. This up here, that aluminum plate is where Homecoming Spidey is going to have his home. That top corner. As you can see, I have my my PX Black Suit Spider-Man. I have my comic book classic Spider-Man. I have the Miles Morales Spider-Man up there. That corner, that empty little corner, is reserved exclusively for my Spider-Man Homecoming figure. So, this particular figure, let me bring the camera forward a little bit first. And here we go. All right. Now, Homecoming Spidey. Now, one thing also that's really cool is when this was first announced, the figure looked very different. It didn't have these proportions. They redesigned the body type from the original release when they were, all the promo shots and everything. He's got a different body type. He's much lankier, leaner, shorter. He is smaller in stature than the classic comic book Spider-Man, actually. And I really love the way they did the changes. What they decided to do, they made some really good decisions as far as making those changes. Now, the accessories that Spider-Man comes with, obviously, are the magnetic clip, which is fantastic. I love that little thing because I can put them up on that aluminum plate there. We've got the base with the display arm. We've got his little wings here. He has 2 head portraits. He has 3 web effects. Not as many web effects as some of the others. I think there's like one or two more webbing pieces that come with the other Spider-Mans that don't come with this Spider-Man, for whatever reason. The other disappointing thing I have to say is that he doesn't come with a left-hand web-swinging hand. He comes only with the right hand. So kind of like it limits your posing because it designates his right arm as the swinging arm, which is a little disappointing. I wish it didn't, but it's not the end of the world. Just that, I wish he would have, have 2 web swinging hands, one for the left, one for the right. But whatever, that's not the end of the world. The other thing is his eyes on the other 2 head portraits. There's not much of a variation. Now, Mezco has a thing for doing that, and I don't really understand why, but as you can see, there's very subtle differences. It's sort of kind of like medium squinty. On the figure over here, he has the much wider eyes. I almost wish there was a little bit more of a variation here, but it's not the end of the world, Otherwise, he comes with his pair of fists and his pair of web shooting hands. Now the display arm, depending on how you want to pose him, you can mess around with the display arm and make it shorter, in case you can see that. So basically you just unscrew one section of it and reattach. And then that's your shorter arm. So if you want to do more standing poses. Now, what I love about the Mezco figures also is that when it comes to these guys standing by themselves, they really do a great job standing by themselves. The ankle joints are really solid. Also, they've significantly improved the ankle pivot in this particular figure. He has a lot of range of motion, so I'll get into that in just a second. But I love that he can stand, and you don't need to have the display arm attached to him for him to be in a dynamic pose. So that's one thing I love about all of the Mezco figures. Whether you like that one particular character or not, me personally, they had some weak releases last year with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, in my opinion. They were not great figures, not good examples. But like Deadpool, my Wolverines, Iron Man, Captain America, Punisher, Thor, Daredevil, all of these figures, a lot of the, my guys up there, the DC figures, Batman, Flash, Green Arrow, everybody, Deathstroke, they all stand really nicely by themselves. You don't need the stand. And you can get some really dynamic poses. Like if you can see, Thor is he's up here. And his stance is very wide, right there. So you can see him right over here. And he's standing by himself. He's not leaning on Doctor Strange. Even though he's right in front of Doctor Strange, he's not leaning on him. He's standing by himself. And he's holding the large club with the lightning effect, which is not touching the floor or the base of the shelf. He's freestanding. So that's one thing that's really great. Now, let's get into Spidey. Hang on a second. Okay. All right. Now, as far as the articulation goes, I'll zoom in a little bit here. Articulation. Arms go up pretty far like that, and I like that because he can do like the, the classic like jumping, crouching kind of a pose. But he's got excellent range of motion in his shoulders. There is, from what I can feel, it feels like there's a butterfly joint in there, but it's hard to tell. You're kind of like, it moves very subtly with the shoulder. And the ball joint that's in the shoulder. He's got upper bicep swivel. He's got double jointed elbows. Obviously, he's got his wrist peg, standard wrist peg. As you can see, he can be very expressive and do the Home Alone. Ah! Anyway, I apologize for that. Ab crunch. Really solid crunching going forward. And obviously he should be for Spider-Man, so that's a really good crunch right there. And he has really good range of motion tilting backwards. Look at that. So he can do some pretty awesome like backflip type of a pose, something really acrobatic and cool. So that's the idea behind Spider-Man. Spider-Man is very expressive, very acrobatic, and you want him to be flexible. A good Spider-Man figure is going to be nice and flexible so that you can do all kinds of acrobatic poses, make him look really dynamic, because that's the one thing that's unique about Spider-Man in and of himself. He's very acrobatic, and he can look really nice when there's a good figure you have to work with. I would say probably one of the best, most highly articulated figures of Spider-Man that I've seen is this version of Spider-Man in the SH Figuarts line of Spider-Man figures, but of superhero figures, especially from Homecoming. That one is a really, really, really good figure to pose. This is pretty close, I have to say, just from fiddling with him. He can be very dynamically posed, and he's got excellent range of motion. He's got upper thigh swivel. He has double jointed knees. He can do almost a split. You just have to be careful with the costume. So you just have to be careful. You don't want to stretch the fabric out too much too quickly. But overall, he's very dynamic. They've also significantly improved the ankle pivot. So if you can see here, see that? There we go. See that tilt? See that pivot there? It's very dynamic, you see? So they did a really good job. They've significantly improved the ankle pivot on this figure. He also can tilt his foot pretty far forward. Not that far, but it's better than some of the others. That's, I think, one thing that gets a little tough with most of the Mezcos is there's not a lot of range of motion in that ankle, but the ankle joints are solid. And I always like to say that the gateway to a solid pose is the ankle joints, because if you have weak ankles, it's going to fall over. So right now on this figure, I have the the crawling hands. He's got like the crawl, and he's got like it's like, I guess, grip and pull kind of thing, like, and then pull, if you know what I mean. But it's just a really, really, really great figure. And you can get him in some really dynamic poses. So that's pretty much it. You know, I want to do, if you guys stay tuned to my next episode of In Position, which is my figure posing video series. And basically I'll be doing a couple of different poses, classic Spider-Man poses for you guys on that. But what I would like to do right now for you guys is I'm going to pose him in a dynamic jump crouch kind of a pose, like so. Very Spider-Man, as you can see. I'm going to put him on the magnetic clip, and I'm going to add him to the plate of Spidey fame, like so. Okay. Just have to get it set because it does slide a little bit. There we go. Ta-da! And there it is. My 4 corners of Spider-Man are complete. Very excited for that. As you guys can see him up there? There we go. My Spider-Man plate is complete. I've been waiting to fill that corner for a very long time. I would say that the homemade suit can go somewhere in the middle. I'm not in as much of a rush to get that particular figure just because, I don't know, it's all right. I like this. I like the in-costume Spider-Man. That's just me. So thank you very much for tuning into this figure review. To sum it up, it's just a fantastic figure. Oh, you know what I forgot? Hang on a second. I'm going to take him down for a sec because I want to show you one difference. One thing here that I think is important to see. Classic comic Spidey. Just want to show you the difference. See, look at the giant feet. Big feet. The body. It's bigger. Not as well proportioned. Okay, so that you can see the evolution of their figure design. And I don't think this has any kind of an elbow joint, a butterfly joint in the shoulder. Now, just gonna stand him straight up here. Now this is more of an homage to the Amazing Fantasy version of Spider-Man. This is just really comic book oriented. At least that's what he looks like to me. It's very comic book-esque and classic Spidey. But if you can see, I'm trying to stand him up here. He's been posed for a while. Between Homecoming Spidey and the comic book Spidey, you can see a significant difference. Okay, see that? See, comic book Spidey is so much bigger than Homecoming Spidey. Just taller. See? Feet are much larger. Body overall is much bigger. So you can see the difference. So they really did change how they made this. Some of the original pictures, it almost seemed like this costume was on this body. They did adjust it over time, but it was interesting because when I first saw this at Comic-Con and I saw the prototype, I was like, holy cow, they really changed it. And they did. They really did a nice job. It looks fantastic. It's almost like taking the hot toy and shrinking it down. It's excellent. It really is excellent. I can't say enough good things about it. So that is it in a nutshell. I'm going to put those guys back up, but thank you very much for tuning in and watching this action figure review. I really appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button. I hope you like what you see. And, you know, it's definitely a figure you want to add to your Mezco collection, without a doubt. And I hope that they maybe do a Vulture, or a Spider-Man villain would be awesome. I mean, come on, we could put so much on the wish list for Mezco Toyz. You know, really, there's so much potential to expand. You know, whether it be more MCU figures. You know, they did Ragnarok. They've got Spidey. I mean, there's so much potential to expand the line and do more. And, you know, I can't wait to see what they've got coming up in the next year or two. Now, I know they have the catalog out, and there's a couple of big reveals in the catalog. For example, that Michael Keaton Batman. Whew, that's awesome. We've got the Moon Knight, which looks really nice. We have Magneto, finally an X-Men villain, which is fantastic. It looks beautiful. Cyclops, Cable, Gambit was shown in there in the catalog. And then for DC on the comic book end, we've got Green Lantern coming, we've got Aquaman coming on the comic book style. They're giving us a new comic book style Wonder Woman, a Harley Quinn that's in the comic book style. So there's so much potential for this line to expand and grow. And it's just exciting to see the evolution and how the collection evolves, you know? And it's just such a fantastic line, and the way they're able to integrate the soft goods with the plastic, it's really just, you know, this is such an excellent figure. Now, I have my gripes about some, like, you know, for example, the Hulk is not one of my favorites. They could have done a lot better, but this figure, definitely something you want to add to your collection. So feel free to hit that subscribe button. I hope you guys like what you see. Follow me on Facebook. Follow my groups. I have a Mezco collector group on Facebook. Please join that. It's a lot of fun. You know, I've been trying to build the audience, so we've got almost 100 members now in the Mezco group, and I'm very excited about that. So thank you all for supporting it and for being a part of it. Thank you all for subscribing and being a part of this channel. I have 115 subscribers now, which I'm very excited and happy to have. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your support and helping this endeavor grow. And keep calm, pose on, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.